Hello and welcome to the Embers Podcast. I'm Mel and I'm joined by Malcolm and Aston. Hello, boys.
How you going?
G'day all. Going well. Yourselves?
Good. All ready to talk about episode 4.
Well, so we just jump straight in.
Let's go.
All right. So we started this episode with hearing from a few players in regards to what had gone down in the previous episode with a bit more information. And so we saw a big confessional there from Tyler talking through everything from her perspective. So I might throw to you, Aston, and can you take us through Tyler and her comments and what did you think?
Yeah, I think this really strengthens her case of potentially being the winner. She gets good time always to explain exactly what she's thinking, what happened, why it happened. She shares some information that her and Nick both came up with the idea, so maybe that's why, so maybe all that stuff about Nick forming the Boys Alliance was kind of just Nick being Nick. But their bond seems to be quite solidified, which is good.
Can I just throw at you though, Aston, just what you're saying there about Nick was that while that might have been a bit of a bum steer, so to speak, she did also mention that they only decided at the last moment. So did Nick have other things going on?
I think it was more of the case of they didn't have, maybe perhaps Tyler had gone for the confessional last in that allotted period. So by the time she had come back, maybe, they're all in a group at this point, and it was hard for them to break off. So the only real time she got to chat to him would be in that little window. You can see them whispering to each other in the episode. So I'm assuming that's when it gets mapped out. I think I'm leaning towards maybe Nick would said something to her first, which solidified, okay, yep, Alex is definitely the person we're going for.
Sounds good. Did you want to add anything in there, Mel? Or?
Yeah, I just found it really interesting that, which I know you're going to talk about Nick in a minute, but I found it really interesting that they were talking about how late that vote was, like you just said. And I didn't pick it up the first time, but I rewatched earlier tonight. And Nick was saying that he was actually using sticks to form a letter A and was trying to communicate that to Tyler at Tribal, which I was like, that's ballsy. Like, I really like that play. And the fact that they left it that late and he came up with that, like, last week he was like, I'm not strategic. That's his strategy, clearly. But, like, I thought that was a really cool way to try and communicate that if they hadn't already, like, discussed the name before they got to Tribal.
I agree with you that it was ballsy. She's this far away. Just leave her, Alex. How many sticks do you need? Maybe he's a loud whisperer. Let's talk about Nick a little bit because through this early section, he's appeared in a few little pieces of the footage. We had him talking about Sean's idol. We had him with his comment about the showboating and getting revenge. We had the conversation with Liam in regards to Liam saying your sister's quite a good talker and where he went with that. So, Mel, talk us through it a little bit and what did you think?
Yeah, I have to say I've been loving Nick. Like, thank God he didn't get first boot and that we all stuck with our predictions because honestly, the three of us, not you, Malcolm. But like we all kind of said we hoped he wasn't because we thought he'd bring good value, and he definitely is. Like back in episode 1, he talked about how Sean showboated, and I do like at the very start of this episode, he was talking about how what did he say? He said, I saw him showboat, I'll get him back. So I really like that he had that moment, which was pretty cool. And then outside of the sticks, he was talking to Liam about Sean, setting Sean up for this round of votes. And I do think he went really hard to say, not only did he say about like that he's definitely got an idol, but then Liam drops, oh yeah, because he was the closest one at that table to get the clue. And Nick, I love how he put it. He goes, "That's not even the idol I'm talking about." So promptly set him up with 2. So I think he's done really good work there. And then you can actually hear Tyler in the background saying, "What, you think he's got 2?" I was like, "Yes, Nick, go push it."
So how far up the strategy scale are we moving, Nick? We've taken him from I've got no strategy. Where is he really?
Well, he said, I can't remember, was it last episode or this current one that's just finished? I think it's in one of those 2 tribals. He actually says, "I'm not a strategic player." And I'm like, dude, like you're actually doing really well. Like, I kind of like that I'm not strategic strat. Like that was pretty good.
Oh, I agree, 100%. So we also had a bit of swearing from Nick in his confessional here, but we didn't actually hear the swearing. What did we get, Aston?
We get a little Alex expletive with Alex's face to cover up the naughty word, should I say?
That was priceless. I laughed so hard at that.
Oh, I think there's got to be an overs unders here in regards to how many times are we going to see that Alex face during the rest of this season?
God, I hope it's all season long. That was so good.
I don't think we've seen the last of it. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
I wonder if we get new ones from the jury.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Now we jumped over to, if I've got this right, the Soames tribe then, and we come into a little bit of a guess this tune. What in the world was Sean doing, Mel?
He was playing the eucalyptus harmonica. Come on, Mel. Have you never even tried that? I will say he's got some good rhythm on that old eucalyptus. It's pretty impressive.
What was the tune?
I can't remember. I do remember. I did know it at the time, but don't ask me what it is. You know, I've got a shit memory, Malcolm.
Did you have any idea, Aston?
I'm just going to throw Uptown Funk out there.
I just think it sounded like this, like. I had no idea.
I love Lily was like, "This is all you guys have been doing this whole time."
I know, she was just annoyed, so annoyed. The look on her face. And yeah, like, this is what you've been doing while we've been voting everyone out. Like,
well, talk us through Lily a little bit, because I noticed at that point there, I commented last week that Lily seemed to be putting herself in a good position of making relationships with the people on the other tribe as they swapped. And I felt that she continued to do that in this scene here while Alex was while Sean was doing what Sean was doing. What did you guys think? Because I think she's setting herself up all right for a person, especially who's got the odds against her now.
Yeah, I've been impressed with her game. I know Aston and I have got a couple of different views, but I feel like she's definitely managed to manage her threat level, given that herself and Liam are the only ones left from the OG Soames. But I think coming into Merge, the focus is always a little bit different, and they will target. The game is definitely afoot, right?
100%.
Come Merge, you always switch your target over to, those that are physically the strongest, who will win those immunity challenges. And I did find it really interesting that Nick was throwing his own sister under the bus, saying what a challenge beast that she could be, and that she's exceptionally smart, and don't trust her, and da-da-da-da-da. So I do kind of feel like, while she's had such great wins and success, I kind of feel like there's a bit of foreshadowing, in my opinion.
And we're definitely going to talk that a bit more in a little while about the Lily scenario. So we cut away then, and we've now come to joining with Sam, and Sam reveals that we're about to merge. And my thing, as I like to do, is to look at the players' faces at these points in time. Nothing really stood out to me, like a bit of excitement there from a few, but the biggest one that I got was Liam saying it has been his dream since he's been a kid to make the move. Now,
that's a bit of foreshadowing.
Maybe this is the old guy in me, but it's like, that seems like yesterday, Liam. But I did think, did Liam show his cards there a little bit? Like, if that's genuine, and it's been his dream since he's been a kid to make the merge on a game like this, is that showing that Liam is quite a big Survivor fan and the strategy's there, and maybe he's been playing a particular strategy to stay low? Does he seem the most relieved about the merge?
I think so. I don't know if he's really showing his cards per se. I have a feeling that a lot of them are aware of this, and like I think he's more relieved that he hasn't just been taken out early, because I feel like that's what he was assuming would happen based off his relationships with these people. So I think he's like, yeah, well, I made it the merge, But I also do think this could be a negative thing for him. Like, okay, I've made merge. Okay, now it's time to go.
Yeah, it's also probably a relief, particularly for him and Lily. Like, they're coming into the merge in the worst position in terms of numbers. So it's kind of obvious that the two of them would be the most relieved. And I know he said since he's a kid, but come on, four of us, including James, like, who hasn't had that dream to make merge? So
100%.
Yeah,
I think
it's overrated. I reckon.
Just because you've not made it.
It's still Aston's dream, Mel. So well done, Liam. You've outclassed Aston. As pretty much most of the cast. I think you only had to turn up. It's very harsh. I apologise, Aston. So I want to throw another one question to you. I'm just going to play Sam here for a moment, Mel. And we've got to the merge colour. And he asked Nick, his brother there, about the colour, black. So how did you feel about the merge colour being black? Because I felt that Nick couldn't have given a rat's.
No, I don't think Nick gave a rat's, to be fair. I think he said something like, oh, yeah, matches my outfit. I can't remember exactly what he said, which was so random coming from Nick. But I love a black buff. Like, I really do. So I was stoked to see a black merge buff.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you there. All right, so Aston, we get into the challenge, and before we get into the challenge, actually, Sam reveals the individual immunity idol. What do you think?
It's a bit of a handbag of protection. It's got a little bit of handbaggy feel with a little bit of side tassels.
I reckon it looks a little bit like a netball bib. It just needs some letters on it. Just whack it over as a netball bib.
But what's a merge immunity meant to look like? I feel like they've hit the nail on the head. It's wacky. It does the job.
I agree with that. Yes, it was certainly unlike something I've seen before, but I also thought the handbag analogy was there. So, Mel, talk us through the individual immunity challenge. We've obviously seen this before in a variation of.
What challenge was it?
Folklore.
Oh, this was the folklore. Right. I mean, it's a shame that we don't have our little orca on this, because he won that immunity on something very similar on our season. But, I mean, basically the folklore challenge is a long-winded story that's usually boring as, and you've got to try and remember all the details. And you usually have to run and answer some sort of questions. So it was a little bit different to the normal one, whereas they had multiple choice and had to write their answers down on the back. But what I did like about this challenge was they sort of swapped it up a little bit. There was seven posts, 7 questions that they had to answer, and the time stopped when the first person came back with their 7th token or their 7th answer, which I thought was quite clever. But ultimately, whoever got the most amount of questions right became the winner.
So I liked the variation as well. I thought it was a really interesting way to run the challenge, because as you and I know, when you listen to that story, by the time you get to those stations, you got bugger all idea. You have no idea, except for James, and that's why we didn't bring him tonight.
Legend on that one.
But Aston, I was curious, what happens if we have a tie at that point?
Yeah, that's true. Like, it's very easy to potentially have, multiple people finish on the same answer.
Surely definitely a couple of questions based on
possibly. Yep.
Perhaps you introduce the questions that people didn't answer, or something along those lines to be the tiebreaker. Or I'm sure Sam had something. It's definitely something we should ask him.
Yeah, he's the only one that got all 7. I did laugh that Andy just gave up at 5.
Yeah, she's like, no,
She's
thanks.
like, whatever, I've got 5.
And look, I'm never against that, because at that point there, if you recognise that you are not going to get those other ones, why exhaust yourself for that extra little bit? Like, apart from Sian, who apparently did the park run in the morning. There we go.
What time did they start filming?
That was my thought. Sam might be able to answer that for us in a second as well.
He's running at 4 a.m. and
yeah,
Sam did have it up his sleeve there, so he had some other questions that were up his sleeve. So I don't know if you noticed, once Tyler hit the lead in that challenge, once they started going through the answers, nobody caught up to her at that point. So she held her lead all the way through. And congratulations to Tyler for winning the first individual immunity idol.
Yeah. It was actually pretty close, though. Like, Tyler got 5, but there was 4 players on 4. So we had like Liam, Nick, Lily, and Sian all on 4. And then I did have a giggle because poor Kyle only got 1.
The challenge beast himself.
The challenge beast didn't do so well on the folklore.
So I wrote down in my notes, and I do this tongue in cheek, but was he downplaying his challenge ability?
Right now,
running to all the questions, but maybe
I can tell you the question he got right. He knows that there are 5 churches at the park.
Yeah, the last one. He was on 0 right up until that last question.
So I think it was sensational strategy by Kyle, recognising that you were going to talk about the challenge piece that he was in recent weeks, and they were going to recognise it. I'm going to downplay the threat. They'll forget I exist. He's going to sneak all the way through now, and he may win this game. All right, so we get
That's
I think that's a bit of fan fiction there. So we hear that there's a reward attached to this as well, and the reward is that Tyler is going to go and have lasagna and garlic bread for lunch. And Sam does the classic Survivor host thing of like, well, you obviously don't want to eat for one. Let's bring along a friend. And if we just talk about her first choice, so she chose Sian at this point.
Smart.
Talk me through it, Mel. Why?
She wants to make sure that basically he is comfortable, that he's not freaking out. She's also pulled him aside because it gives the others a chance to talk about why he should be the vote. I mean, her and Nick, they said it right at the start of the episode that they were in alignment in terms of who within the original Rogers tribe would be best to play the game and who would potentially have an idol. So they both had the same thought, that Sian was someone that needs to be target. And by bringing Sian to the reward, it allowed Nick space to talk about that with the rest of the group, as well as Tyler making sure that Sian was incredibly comfortable and not playing one of his, what they think might be one of 2 idols.
Yep. It's a great point, Mel. And so Aston can add to it if he wants to, and I throw the next one too. So Sam, as the good Survivor host, naturally throws out, 2's good, but 3's much better. So Tyler, bring along another, and she chooses her, what I think is one of her real-life besties in Andy. Yep. Did you make the right call here, Aston? Are you happy with this, or?
I'm not sure, right? And that's purely because we haven't seen much of Andy so far. So I don't know exactly where Andy sits in terms of her other relationships. Is she close to Sian? You know, we do hear them talk about a little bit later that maybe Andy wouldn't be going along with the vote necessarily. You know, that's just something that's thrown out there. So I don't know if someone else has picked something up. I think she could have even took Kyle too, maybe. It seems like someone who might have not been willing to flip also, but again, another one that we haven't seen that much content from, so we don't really know exactly where their allies sit. I think pulling Andy aside can be a good move in the terms of Sian knows that Andy is her friend, so now Sian's guard is lowered even more because he knows, okay, she's not just bringing strategic people, she is bringing her friends. So it makes sense.
Were you happy with it, Mel?
Yeah, I think a bit like what Aston said, there's a couple of people that we're really in the dark of, and it really revolves around Andy and Kyle. And so I'm a bit the same with Aston. Like, I feel like, and interestingly enough, in that lunch, it came up straight away. Tyler was asking about what's Lily about? How does she fit? You could see that she was trying to suss Lily out. So that was the one person that Tyler wasn't sort of familiar with. But then she asks, is she tight with Kyle? And Andy was like, straight away, Andy said, oh, no, sorry. I think it was Tyler who said, wait, didn't Liam picked Kyle straight up at that very first challenge? So it's interesting that she's already clocked them as a connection, because quite frankly, that's the only connection that I can see Kyle having. And then with the whole Andy thing, when they were talking about the vote later, they talked about leaving her out. And I did find it really interesting that Liam was like, I think it was Lily said, should we leave her out? And Liam was like, nah, she'll get cut. That will come back to hurt us. So, yeah, it just feels like those two players in particular, we don't know much about. So, yeah.
I agree there. And I think that you started to tap into when Tyler was asking Andy about Lily and her connections. And Andy said something along the lines of, Lily is basically that she's committed to the people that she's in an alliance with. Yeah. And being that we don't definitely Liam. And being that we don't really know very much at all about where Andy and Kyle sit with everybody, it did make me wonder a little bit, like, is there a little bit there maybe that we don't necessarily know about, but Andy's giving the answer in an evasive way to not tip off Tyler? Don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and we also didn't. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but they didn't show Andy's vote. We assume that it's anonymous, but the fact that they left that conversation about, like, should we or should we not include Andy? I feel like that's foreshadowing something. So, yeah, that's what's going around in my head at the moment is, like, is she going to be, is that going to be Tyler's downfall, losing her, like, close contact because they're clearly visible as a, friendship?
And I think Andy's in an interesting position in terms of us learning, because she had that little bit last week in regards to Tyler and Liam, or not necessarily. Like, so she seems to be in the know. Where does she sit? Andy, I think, has got an interesting storyline coming up. So if we just basically say that there was pretty much a free-for-all of information from Tyler to Sian during there, and I agree with the idea that I think it was all about making Sian as comfortable as possible, that Tyler and Sian, I've got you, we're together, going through there. So while all of that's taking place, we've got back at camp. So who have we got? Nick, Kyle, Lily, and Andy. No, not Andy. Who am I missing? Nick, Kyle, Lily, and
Liam.
Do you want to talk us, Aston, through a little bit about what was going on down there before we get our returnees from the reward?
Yeah, so it's weird because I feel like they framed it as if, like, Nick obviously is leading the charge there. He's obviously pushing it. He's pushing it really hard. You can kind of tell that it's Nick and Tyler's planned move.
Yep.
But for some reason, the edit is trying to give Lily a little bit of credit for it. It's Lily saying, oh, yes, I'm going to get my main target out. This is what I want. It's positioning her in a position where she can be like, okay, that's my move, which I think bodes well for her personally.
Yep.
It is interesting. I would love to know what Kyle was thinking this whole time. He kind of sits there all like, he's chill. He's just sitting there. He's laid back. Would have been perfect to get a little confessional from him just to see how he was feeling. Like, oh, yeah, I'd love to get Sian out. Or, Sian's my closest ally. Like, we have no idea where Kyle sits in this dynamic, and it would have been good just to have like a little bit of a snippet from him just to get some clarity.
Cool. So you threw out the idea that Lily was sort of being shown as a big driver of what was going on, and you see that in a positive light as to where Lily's storyline's going on. Do you agree with that, Mel?
No, I think we're on opposite ends of the spectrum on this one, Aston. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like Lily. I think she's playing really, really well. But this is the first time that I felt like the edit was giving her a little bit of a negative tone, because it was very obvious. It was set up right from the beginning of the episode that both Tyler and Nick were clearly targeting Sian, and all of that had sort of happened in the edit prior to Lily. Yes, okay, Lily had the same goal, but she's sort of claiming credit. She said, this is my plan. I've let them think they're in control. I let them think that they're the ones that came up with it. They actually have come up with it. All three of them have came up with it. And I feel like the edit was trying to show her taking credit for a move that was already in the works. And to be fair, has already been, we all four of us had said it was foreshadowed way back in episode 2, when they first started saying Sian's going to get that idol. Sian's got that idol from that clue. So I just feel like that, in conjunction with the conversation where Tyler was asking about Lily at that reward, and she was sort of saying, where's her alliances? And then very quickly it was like, well, she's going to stay with the people that she knows, being Liam. I just feel like that in itself, all of those bits and pieces, to me, seem more of a negative than a positive.
Yeah, I don't know where I sit at the moment in terms of the Lily side, whether it's a winning type thing or whether it's just a little bit. But I certainly sat there trying to interpret how much control does Lily have over this at this point in time, being there's just her and Liam, and can she really manipulate and move everybody else versus it being a Tyler and Nick aspect of a move, and she's tagged onto it and talking confidently. That we'll have to wait and see. But I think that they all did it. Now, we know that Sian goes, and we'll be speaking to Sian hopefully shortly. And we had the situation where everybody had to basically play out that Sian was golden, he was good, Lily and Liam are the targets. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's got that Simon me brawn versus brain type of aspect to it. Everyone had to lie to him. Everyone had to convince him that he was safe. Here's an idol up his pocket, which is very easy to just swing the votes whoever way. They had to pull off so many things to convince him otherwise, like all of the stuff Tyler was doing about creating a fake split plan to convince him. Everything that was said between Liam and Lily at Tribal about how, we're not feeling very good, and it was convincing, like they're obviously, on the bottom. I would have been fully convinced that it was going to be a split between Liam and Lily.
Yeah. Yep. And I do say, again, we're talking about Kyle, right? And where does Kyle sit? I did have a giggle when Kyle was voting. You just saw him playing with the pen. Like, it was like his mind was going like, was that that conversation was just for his sake, right? Like, it's still.
So it was, I'm going to throw the question out to you, Mel, then, because watching Kyle in the background, he seemed to be listening to everything, but I wasn't convinced that he was on board for what everybody was talking about. And I'm wondering, is it potentially in Kyle's best interest to have actually let Sian definitively know what was going down so that Sian could play the idol, and then he's got a guarantee at least the two of them are tight?
Yeah, because there's also a moment where they all have come back from the reward, and you see Sian say to Tyler about, Kyle's more on board with the Liam vote. So I don't know what was going on between the two of them. But, yeah, I kind of feel like, let's put, like, I'm just imagining what our lovely Orca would be doing if he was in this position. And I know James would be exactly what James did at Merge, which was looking to the likes of strong men like yourself, Malcolm, and Nick, where he needs to have as many shields around him. So I can kind of understand why Kyle probably wouldn't have wanted that to go down the way that it did. But I don't know that he's got the social capital to be able to change anything. So while he may not be happy with it, he probably also doesn't want to be on the wrong side of the numbers. So he's in a difficult position.
And this is hard because we don't know where Kyle stands exactly with everybody else. I've had the feeling that, I think I spoke the other week about, I thought that Kyle and Sean were on the outside of what was the Nick, Tyler, Andy alliance, which I believe exists there. And so for me, I felt like that was a chance for Kyle to mix things up. And I don't know exactly who he targets. Like, does he take out an Andy who might be like sort of Tyler's right-hand lady, so to speak? But just to mix things up, because I know I've death rowed Kyle over the last few weeks, but I'm wondering if he's sort of to a dead end where he's not really going to have any options with the other players.
Well, I'm also wondering whether he's a perfect person to take to Final Three, because he hasn't had that. Yes, okay, he's a great challenge person, but if you look at a lot of the players that are in this game, a lot of them are fans of the game and have great strategy. So it makes me wonder, like, is Kyle someone that they want to actually take to the end because they think that they can beat him from a strategic point of view?
Good point. So we'll just jump into the votes. We saw some great performances all around. Notice that when Sam asked if anybody has a hidden immunity idol, would they'd like to play it, not one of the players looked in Sean's direction. But we do see we assume a 6-1 vote, because we assume that if Andy had voted differently, we would have seen the vote. But Sean goes, and we hear his little confessional as he's voting, that this seems too easy. People aren't talking to me. Mel and Aston, we're going to ask Sean obviously shortly, but why don't you play the idol?
Yeah, I mean, any little bit of doubt, I'm playing that idol. It's one more day to try and wiggle some cracks. And I think maybe he had a little bit of doubt, but he obviously trusted Tyler too much, I think. Either that, or he didn't actually think that they would get enough numbers on him to get the vote going.
Yeah, I feel like Tyler did such a great job at the reward, making him feel so comfortable. And, I know it's one of my questions when we do get him on is, in his voting, he talks about, like, he might be on the outs. Well, when did you feel that? Because it clearly wasn't during the reward. So, and I wonder how much time there was from the time that they got back from the reward to the time that they actually went to tribal. Because if that was only a couple of minutes, which we know in the speed of reality games, how quickly things went.
Happen.
So it could have just been that such a small few couple of minutes that he got that inkling. And we all know that inkling is that gut instinct is always right. You don't always realize it at the time. You've just got to trust it. And why go home with an idol in your pocket?
Look, and Sean will definitely let us in on that. And maybe when Sean talks about his history with Survivor, that might also play a part into why he did or didn't play the idol. But is there anything else you want to comment on? Because I believe we've got Sean ready to go.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, I'm good to go.
All right, Mel, would you like to welcome Sean in?
Oh, let me just... He's camping, so...
Okay.
we might have a James internet scenario. It's certainly dark.
It's very dark. Hello, Sean, or the ghost of Sean.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, it wasn't
good.
so
How
dark
are you?
before. I'm good.
Oh, there he is.
It's very dark. Yeah.
I've tied a headlamp to a post here, trying to get some light.
We can.
Very well.
We're so happy you got to join us today. We've been enjoying your game. So I'm glad that you've made the time while you're camping to come and chat to us.
That's all right. Sorry, I'll try and get this light right.
No, you're good, Sean.
All good.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. I've got a bucket load of questions for you because I found you really intriguing. So I'm just going to rapid fire them. So I'm really curious, like how much Survivor you've watched in the past or that you're currently watching.
I was when you were going through all the predictions at the start, I was laughing because you're all bang on. I hadn't watched much at all.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I watched the early seasons when I was a kid with my parents, like the American one, and then I've watched all the Australian ones, but like more as an entertainment sort of thing.
Okay. Cool.
No, Sam's on both, mate. So he did the fantasy league and stuff. So I always had my little fantasy team. So yeah, didn't take it too seriously.
Who's your favourite player?
Well, I said Sean, but
we thought that was tongue in cheek.
yeah, it was definitely tongue in cheek. I don't know. I do like David.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think everyone likes David though. So he's fun to watch.
Great player.
He's easy in there.
Hey, Sean, before Mel asks any more questions, I want to ask a question that's got nothing to do with Survivor, if I can, because you have had me absolutely intrigued from the moment that your bio dropped. I cannot pick your age. I don't know if you're somebody like in their mid-30s or if you're in your young 20s. Can I ask you how old you are, Sean?
I'm 33, 34 this year.
Okay, cool. So did that put you easily the oldest on the cast?
I think so. Tyler and Liam might have been the next ones.
Yeah.
I think
they might be
49 or 30.
For the moment your bio dropped, I just could not tell. You've got these youthful features, but at the same time, you look like you've got some bit of wisdom and experience there. I was just intrigued.
Yeah, I think I had 2 kids at the time, so yeah, now I've got 3.
Yeah, were you the only one on the cast that had children?
Sorry, what was that?
Were you the only one on the cast that had children at the time?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Aston, do you have any questions? Because otherwise I'm just going to keep firing. You know, I've got a big
I've got one question that I think I would really like to know. Who did you think you were most aligned to going into your boot? Like, did you consider someone your main ally? Did you have a main alliance that you considered outside of maybe like, your original tribe?
Leading up to the vote or like when
just like in general, I guess. Like,
yeah, so Tyler and Nick, I felt comfortable with them leading up until like even that reward. Tyler did a great job. Good on her. I felt because we were talking zero strat because we never lost a challenge. So I think Tyler really wanted to talk strat, I've heard, but I wasn't there to really do much. I was just there to have fun sort of thing. So, I felt comfortable with Tyler and I knew her out of the game, and Nick being Sam's brother, I knew him. So I thought just go with Roger Strong, and I felt good at that time.
Yeah.
So they did you dirty, Sean.
A little bit.
Well, that was actually one of my questions. Were you surprised by any particular person that voted for you? So obviously outside of Sean or Nick, and I guess that leads to my question, like we think Kyle's a bit of a enigma. So like, how was your relationship with Kyle?
It was 3 years ago, so I do forget a little bit. Because I think he was in Rogers at the start. Yeah. So I felt the same. Yeah, I was pretty confident with the Rogers team, but I hadn't watched much Survivor. I didn't really know the ins and outs of it, so I'm just happy to be part of a team.
Yep.
We all want to know, because you were talking about like in your voting confessional, you were talking about how you felt like you might be on the outs, and that you were a bit worried that you were going to be the target. So, and we've all played an LRG, we know how quickly it moves. So you look really comfortable at the reward challenge. So when did you first start feeling like vulnerable? Obviously it was after the reward. So how much time went by the time you came out of the reward and went to tribal?
It wasn't too long. It might have been like 10 or 15 minutes.
Right.
Yep.
And when did you first get that gut feeling like something wasn't right?
Oh, as soon as we got back to camp. I was like, oh, cool, this is sweet. Tyler, we're going Roger Strong. I sit down and then, I don't know what that noise is. I sit down and, this is just, everyone's just staring at me sort of thing, or staring at the ground. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And so I sort of had this, I don't know, I just really wanted it to not be true. So I was sort of just like ignoring all those feelings and, just hoping that my insecurities was wrong and that I'll just get through this one verse.
Yeah. Did you think about at any point like actually playing the idol, or do you just really want to hold on?
Yeah.
To it
No,
for
yeah.
the next time?
My heart was screaming at me to play it, and I just ignored it. I
Holding
really
strong.
Well, I thought I'm going to be all right in the challenges. So if I can just keep this idol with me, and if I can win a few challenges and lose one, then I've got it, and hopefully get a bit further. But yeah, I think the game sort of crept up on me because we talked zero strat. I went to that reward, come back, everyone's been all weird. I'm like, okay, so I literally spoke to no one really the whole time.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything you saw on the edit is all I said.
Yeah, it does make it really hard when you don't go to tribal. Like you do, like the Soames tribe, they're like tribal hardened because they've had to go round after round after round, which I can definitely relate to from my season. It definitely gives you a little bit of practice, which I think is definitely an advantage going into a merge situation. So I can kind of get where you're coming from. So outside of Tyler and Nick, is that who you saw like your final three? Like, were you going to go Roger Strong all the way? Like, is that who you thought you saw yourself at a final three with?
Yeah. So I didn't watch much Survivor before, so I didn't really understand the whole every vote can change and alliances change, all that sort of stuff. So I felt comfortable with Tyler and Nick, and so I just thought, sweet, it's easy, just keep going. But apparently I was a threat with two idols. So
well, it was ingenious, Sean, the creation of the fake idol. Did you get to play with that at all in any way, or was it just simply you made it, but it sat in a pocket or something?
No, that was Alex.
That was Alex, yeah.
Oh, well, Sean, I'm just trying to give you extra credit.
Yeah. No, Sean had one idol that he found that Nick saw you see. Did you really think Nick saw you, or you weren't sure?
Yeah, I watched it again this Saturday, and you see him. He laughs because he sees me.
He gives you a cheeky grin,
doesn't he?
Yeah. He's there. So that because I was gonna tell Nick, but it sort of just ran away from me. So I thought, okay, I'll tell Nick when it matters, because at the moment it's fine. I'm not going to get voted out. I'm just going to go Tyler, Nick, Strong, and I'll tell him next time it matters.
Yep.
But obviously it's too late.
Yeah, he immediately ran with that information and threw you under.
Well, I had Alex bringing up some other fake idol, and Nick got the real idol, and
yeah.
What did you think when you saw that they were setting you up from like episode 2 about that challenge?
Well, because I knew going into jury, because Alex was already in there into the villa. And so, Alex is like, blah, 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 in the villa. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I thought I knew that coming into it. But it was fun to watch. I liked it. It was good.
I got a question. Some people, it can be like, it can really burn a lot when you get blindsided, especially from someone that doesn't understand the game so much. How did you feel, when your closest allies, or who you thought your closest allies, just stabbed you in the back?
I didn't sleep properly for like a month. It was horrible. No, I think it didn't. Yeah, because I was like, I treated it very personally, sort of thing. Like, okay, I sort of know these guys, we can work together, and then I get stabbed in the back. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Or even before the vote, sort of thing. So I'm thinking, if they don't want to work with me now, then who cares? I'm just going to risk it and not use my idol, because I didn't understand that every vote's different. Like, I can just switch around and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. I think when I watched the next Australian Survivor, and I realised that no one takes it personally. I was like, okay. I sort of
Yeah.
Look, listening to you talk through what you were thinking leading up to not playing the idol, I could sense that aspect of, because you weren't coming in with a Survivor background, is the difference. I think if you walk in with a Survivor background, you don't hesitate to play the idol at that point in time. But that's the knowledge of the game coming in. So it's one of those things. You live and learn from it.
No, in hindsight, you play it every day of the week. So,
So how did you find your overall experience? Like, I know that it was only a 10-hour, 12-hour game, but how did you find the overall experience, whether it be playing or jury? Like, are you hooked on live reality games now? Do you want more? Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, the experience on the day was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I haven't really had time to, because I've got kids and work and stuff, I haven't really had time to sort of immerse myself. I watched a little bit of I think I watched episode 1 of the Canberra season 2, so I saw you guys and stuff, so that was cool. But yeah, no, the whole thing's is pretty cool. I'm pretty keen to help Sam with season 2.
Good, excellent.
So, yeah, that'll be really cool.
Cool. Would you play again?
Yeah, I don't think I'm TV quality or anything, but I'll definitely go again. Yeah, it would be cool.
Oh, well, we enjoyed watching you, and you're really strong on challenges. So you'd give James a run for his money. I know James would be spewing he's not here tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
what did you think of the nickname we gave you, Captain Sean?
Captain Sean, loved it. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, good. And I think a non-Survivor related question. We were all really surprised. I've never heard of a guy named Sean before. I'm wondering what your family heritage is. Does that come from is it a family name or?
No, I think my parents thought they made it up, but they didn't. Yeah, I don't know. There's actually, the story goes that there was another baby the day after I was born in the same hospital named Sean that was a boy as well. So I think they heard it.
Oh, wow.
I've got no idea. I've Googled it. Apparently it means manure in Gaelic or something. So. Yeah. I spent 33 years defending my name that it's not a girl's name, but gotta let it go.
Oh, funny. No. So I guess one question, obviously at the moment they're recruiting for people to play for season 2 for Brisbane Survivor. What would be some tips, or what would you say to people who were thinking of applying for season 2?
Watch Survivor before you play. I think that's where I went wrong. I think you just got to have a little bit of knowledge about what you're getting into.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Now, Sam's put out there a thanks for playing Captain Sean message. I don't know if you can see that or not, Sean. But
thanks, Sam.
And what did you think of Sam as host? Did he do a good job?
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. No, he was really good.
Do you feel he should have grilled a little bit harder at Tribal Council and sort of forced a few people to give some genuine answers?
Yeah, I think he could have opened up a few cracks, you might say, but yeah, no.
I think his job's there. He knows you got the idol. He wants a great TV moment. It's force the others to throw it out there. You're in trouble. Then you don't hesitate to play the idol. You survive. He gets a great television moment. Game continues.
Yeah. Well, I knew, because even when he come back, he didn't look at me when he went to read the names out. And he goes, does anyone have an idol? And he didn't look at me. And I just knew in my heart, I'm like, Sean, just play it. I'm like, no, I need
it. Rookie error.
Yeah.
Were you allowed to keep it? Is it a nice souvenir now?
I was actually going to bring it and wear it around my neck, but
I've got my idol in my lounge room. It's displayed with pride.
Yeah, right. Oh, so you didn't play yours either?
Oh, no, I did play mine, but I had to buy it back in an auction.
Oh, really?
Bought it back in an auction because I wanted that little sucker. But
yeah. Memory.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's all I had. Do you boys have any other questions for Sean?
No, thanks for playing, Sean.
I think we can
Yeah,
No,
I think
it's all good.
we've all enjoyed your season, and you could kind of tell that you were having a blast. Like you look always, whenever you're playing the challenges, you looked like so into it, which was great. Even that last folklore challenge where you're running around asking the questions, like you were the first back. Like, there were others that, like Andy was just like, well, I'm not running anymore. Like, no, so
Yeah,
No, I was pumped. I was looking forward to playing more, but it wasn't meant to be.
yeah.
see him
fair
throughout the rookie era, and I'm just going to throw out the idea that you can only make a rookie error if you did something well to find it in the first place.
That's right.
Very true.
No, it was a pleasure watching him play, Sean. And if you get to play again, we'll look forward to seeing what lessons you've learned from this experience.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Thanks,
Cheers.
Sean.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you, Sean.
Oh, nice guy.
Oh, definitely a nice guy.
Mm.
Played an idol, we would have seen a bit more instead of just seeing him sit on the jury.
I know. What could have been? We've all played that game, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
No, I could relate to the feelings that he was talking about leading into tribal council. Definitely been on that one.
Yeah.
Should we get to our awards?
Yeah. Why not, Aston? So who's our wit? No. Our wit.
Yeah, I'm going to do Outwit. And now I stopped Tyler from getting the treble last week, but tonight I'm going to give Tyler the Outwit award. There was a few things that impressed me in this episode. I was really impressed with the job that she did at the reward, where she just fed so much info to Sian that I would challenge almost anybody to think that they weren't in a trusted position with Tyler at that point in time. Like, you've got to feel safe if somebody's sharing that much with you. I think that she also did a great job at pulling the Tyler-Nick connection together even tighter. I think it's been there from early in the season anyway, but I think that over the last week and last episode and a bit, we've seen that strengthen, whereas I think that they may be in a position now where Nick is Tyler's number one and vice versa. What else did I comment? I commented on just the idea that when she was talking about the reward, she was mentioning the bit about how Kyle had chosen Liam instantaneously, and they were just little signs to me that show there's a player who is picking up all the little parts of the game and putting the picture together. So I think she's putting herself in a really good position. I think her biggest danger is other players obviously do know that she's very strategic. What level of what they know of what she's doing in this game yet is yet to be determined. And I think that if the other players are smart, I'm going to venture that Tyler might only have a week or two left in her. But we'll see how that goes. Outwit, Tyler.
All right, Aston, it's over to you for
So for outplay this week, I'm going to have to give it to Tyler as well. My key reasoning for this is not only did she win the challenge and save herself from going home, she actually used her challenge win to pull off the move that she was intending to do. She not only gets to save herself, but she also gets to separate Sian from the group, allow them to chat away from him. She uses all of these, aspects to help her game. And, I think that's perfect reasoning to get the Outplay Award for this round.
Excellent. Well, I am doing, what am I doing again? Outlast.
Outlast.
And to me, this week, it was just set up so perfectly. There was no one ever going to be in any danger other than Sian. So I'm going rogue with my with my award tonight. While my bestie James is away, who's put the criteria in place, Millie's going a little bit rogue. So I'm just
It's free choice, Mel.
I'm giving my vote to Nick this week because in terms of outlast, he's outlasted 3 of our predictions. So there's one thing. But I've just been so impressed with Nick over the last 2 episodes. Like, not just from, he's got strategy that I don't think I thought he had. And he's just so bloody funny. Like, he gets that look in his eye, like when he's like, whenever he's having a battle with Lily, or he throws Sean under the bus or something. He just gets this look that is just priceless, and it's really endearing. And I think he's doing really well in terms of positioning himself with Tyler and other people. So I'm just all in awe of Nick for the last 2 weeks. So I don't care about the criteria. I'm just giving him my award.
There is nothing wrong with the outlier to the two Tylers being Nick. It's what we saw last week as well, Mel. But let's be fair, Tyler and Nick at this moment certainly seem to be running the show in a really, really strong manner. Now, whether that means that they can take that all the way and turn it into a win for one of them, we know Survivor, and that's a very different thing. But they're looking good. They're looking good. So now I just don't know which order you would like to do this in, because James not being here, Aston's got a couple of memes from him though, and going to talk them through. And I also know that Mel has got our pre-season predictions and would like to take the opportunity to gloat as to how well she is doing and rub it into the boys. Which one would you like to go with first, Mel and Aston?
Should we just do Mel's first, just to keep it on game topic?
I mean, I'm not going to talk to it just too much. I mean, I did find it interesting that both James and yourself, Malcolm, like accurately predicted Sean's boot placement at 7. So well done to the two of you. But outside of that, you pretty well suck, because Aston and I are the closest to. I'm only about 10 points away. I think Aston's 13. Mal, you're about 14 points off. But look at James, our beloved Orca. He's the furthest away from accuracy.
We've had negative 27.
I put this up tonight when he's not here.
Negative 16, is it?
Yeah. So if the bottom, if you look at each person's prediction, it's how far off their prediction versus the actual placement, and then at the bottom is the total.
Okay.
Well, if you look out of interest there, if we look at the idea that Nick and Tyler are pretty much running the show at the moment, 3 of us chose Nick to be first boot. 3 of us chose Tyler to win. So that's a really interesting little.
You could make the gap up, Mel. You definitely could make the gap up.
Yeah, the problem is that I had Lily as first boot.
Yeah.
That's going to be a banner.
Yeah.
Definitely wrong on that one. But no, we'll keep an eye on that and see how we go over the coming weeks. In fact, Aston was the only one that really gave Lily any credit at all. You've got up at 4th. The rest of us have done what we did to Nick. Pretty much what we said was, we don't like Sam's siblings.
I'm surprised Sam let us keep podcasting up. At least he's all half his family.
But congratulations, Mel, on your succeeding very well so far. We'll see if you can keep it up.
If I show it again, it's because I'm winning. If I don't show it again, it's because I'm lost.
So, Aston, you've got a couple of memes that James, I believe, has sent your way. Would that be correct?
Yep. Yeah,
All
so
right,
I'll bring it up now. So this first one is... that's a little bit... and Nick while the challenge is happening. Just laid out.
You did just sit back on a crate and watch them, didn't she? She's like, I got to 5, that's enough.
And then she's still going to get the lasagna after the thing. She's like,
why am I running when I'm getting lasagna anyway?
The next one also be Kyle. Hold on, Aston. Hold on.
Sorry.
That could also be Kyle when they were having the strategy chat.
Well, Kyle was still running. He was still running.
No, not in the challenge.
Right?
When they were having the strategy chat, and he was just laying back in the chair, what looked like a bit of rope or something.
Well, we were talking during the week about what we thought was going through Kyle's head, and I said to Aston, I just think there was a banging track just going through Kyle's mind. Like, he was just like singing his own song in his own world. It was great.
I seriously cannot wait to have Kyle on as an interview. What do we got next there, Aston?
All right, the next one we got is a bit of an Uno meme.
Yes.
Play your idol for yourself or draw 25. And it looks like the boys would rather draw 25.
I think James' absence from the show, he's decided to put the boot in this week.
Yes.
Fair call, though.
And then this is my favourite one. Liam stating that Lily is a good talker. And Nick's gone up and smacked him and said, "Don't you be thinking that."
Do not trust her.
Well done, James. You've excelled this week.
Oh, I missed my orca. Well done, James.
Should we just have a couple of predictions for next round?
Yeah, just before we do, can I just point, because I know that previously you've asked at different times for a moment in the episode that made you laugh and you found quite funny. I had that moment this week. It was during the reward challenge, and it was at the point where suddenly somebody's hand appears at the glass door.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice it? And then it holds there for like a minute or something. As if somebody's told him, "Don't walk out now."
He's like, "My hand's here. I better not move it."
I got a funny moment. I loved Lily's reaction when Alex didn't walk in on the challenge, and she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Like, I'm gonna do a weird laugh or I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, it was literally like, laugh or you're gonna cry. This is the worst thing that could have happened. And she does this kind of snarky, I'd like to know what happened, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah. Well, mine would be Nick and the Alex expletive.
Yes.
That made me
That was
laugh
a nice bit of editing work as well.
Yeah. The more we see that Alex face, the better.
It'll sum up the season. Now, so you want some predictions, Aston? Well, let's just put it out there first. Aston, congratulations. Last week, you predicted Sean would be blindsided with an idol. What a call. Fantastic and well done. Mel, you obviously weren't on the podcast last week, so we didn't get a prediction from you. I don't know if you had one or not.
Yeah, I was with Aston. You could see that had been foreshadowed since episode 2, and it's building and building. I would have definitely been saying it was Sean. Maybe
now,
not without the title thing, but
I believe I said that Kyle was going to finish second in the challenge. 5 churches tell me otherwise. But I'm going to turn my Kyle predictions now. I think Kyle is going to the end. I think Kyle is going to be taken, and I believe the others are going to take Kyle as what they need to be, a perceived GOAT. So we'll see what happens there. So, look, Sam has mixed things up a little bit in this series, obviously starting with the 10 players, a few little interesting twists and turns. I'm going to make the call that next week Sam is going to throw us a 3v3 challenge. And with a little bit of a US Survivor inspiration there, but ahead of his time, look at potentially just the tribe that loses, only those 3 people being up for potential elimination. So the 6 will go to Tribal Council, but the 3 will be in danger. And I'm going to say I've got mixed feelings on this. I'm going either Tyler or Liam. The reason I'm going Tyler or Liam is that if the other players genuinely want to put themselves in a position to win the game, I think they have to get rid of Tyler. The only thing that might save her for an episode is that there is the risk that if you take her out now, do you give Liam and Lillian in with one of the others to sort of then form a 3 to have over the 2? So because of that, I'm going to predict that Liam is going to exit on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I've got like 1,000 thoughts, but I'm going to keep it to 2.
Well, there's pressure on you now because you got to back up after a successful call.
My obvious thought is 2-2-2 vote, with Liam going and Lily playing her idol.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a vote split. My little bit more ambitious play is a 3-2-1 on Andy.
Okay.
And Nick flips on Tyler and votes out Andy, who he is not that close with.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had exactly the same to you, Aston. I kind of also feel like Liam is probably the next target. He's probably outside of Kyle, who I don't think that they're going to vote out yet. I feel like Liam's the next obvious vote. Like, he's not in the original Rogers. He's also, potentially a strong player that I feel like Nick in particular will want out, as will probably Andy, because they know that they link Tyler. It's an extra number for Tyler. The other one, just based on last episode and the fact that her vote wasn't shown, I just feel like something's coming up for Andy. And I don't think it's in a positive way. And again, I feel like it may be a move to weaken Tyler. So they were my two. I'm going to probably, if I had to put money on one, I'll go Liam, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Andy.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. And Aston trying to go for 2 from 2.
Yeah.
Well, at least 2 in a row.
Yeah.
All right. That, I think, wraps it up. If we got anything else to throw out there, or
no, I'm out of wine, so I think we're good.
All right. Well, once again, tune in on Wednesday night for episode 5 of Brisbane Survivor. Obviously, then next Monday, 3 of us will be back for. James's internet was obviously lagging. He's put a message in the side here, memes. He
We've
hasn't
done your
realised that we've
memes,
done them.
James. They were brilliant. Well done, Orca.
So 3 of us will be here next Monday. And just remember that if you are potentially interested in having a crack at playing this game, applications are open for Brisbane Survivor Season 2. And every single one of us would highly recommend giving it a shot. Don't 100%. Sit back and wonder about what ifs. You will meet some amazing people. You will develop friendships out of this. Even though it's only over one day, it will seem bizarre, but you will develop friendships that go way beyond the game. Go and give it a crack.
100%.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, people.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week. Bye.
See ya.
See you later.